give loans and grants to low-income countries in order for them to pursue capital projects. It is one of the world's largest sources of funding for developing countries. Following World War II, when many European countries were physically and financially destroyed, the World Bank was established. It was established to lend money at no interest so that these countries could rebuild and eventually repay the bank. It fights poverty by offering developmental assistance to low-income and middle-income countries by giving loans, offering advice, offering assistance to both public and private sectors. The World Bank helps to eliminate poverty by helping people help themselves.
Now, essentially, the World Bank is an international organization with 189 member countries. The board of directors for the bank consists of a president and 25 executive directors. These member countries are referred to as shareholders since they actually hold shares in the organization. These shares that are owned by the countries translates into voting power, which means one share is equal to one vote. So this means that the US has the largest voting power with 23.6%. The World Bank consists of 5 international organizations. When people refer to the World Bank rather than the World Bank Group, this usually refers to just the 2 of these, which are the IBRD and the IDA. The IBRD stands for the International Bank for Reconstruction and Development, while the IDA stands for the International Development Association. Lastly, the final 3 agencies out of the 5 includes the International Finance Corporation, the Multilateral Investment Guarantee Agency, and the International Center for Settlement of Investment Disputes.
The World Bank has faced considerable criticism and protest around the world. Environmentalists charge that it finances projects damaging to the ecosystem. Human rights activists and unionists say that the bank supports countries that restrict religious. It is accustomed to criticism, and since the Second World War, few organizations have generated as much outcry. Some criticism of the World Bank includes 1. Creating a climate where high levels of lending are deemed to be good. Number 2. Advocating disability-adjusted life years as a health measure. Number 3. Disregard for the environment and indigenous population. And lastly, evaluating health projects by looking at economic outcome measures.
Next, we have the International Monetary Fund, or the IMF. It promotes global monetary cooperation, financial stability, international trade facilitation, high employment, and sustainable economic growth. The IMF was created alongside the World Bank in 1945. It primarily monitors exchange rates, stabilizes international monetary system, and fosters global financial cooperation. When an unforeseeable crisis, like a recession or a natural disaster, destabilizes one's economy, balancing force of the IMF prevents any domino effect to happen in the collapsing economies. The International Monetary Fund aims to reducing global poverty, encouraging international trade, and promoting financial stability and economic growth. There are 3 main functions of the IMF. These are the lending, surveillance, and capacity building.
The International Monetary Fund, or the IMF, is an organization of 190 countries. The IMF has been widely criticized for allowing disparate level of influence. This is because member nation which invest more money in the IMF gets more voting rights. The US comprises nearly a fifth of all available votes because they are the largest contributor. In addition to this, since the IMF is somewhat of last resort, countries in troubles has no choice but to agree to a significant austerity, measures that may not necessarily be in their best interest or agree with their biologists. The IMF also faces many challenges which includes governance structure, increasing level of solicitation, leadership challenges, performance evaluation difficulties, and dealing with social stability.